Hey, so we are back. Today we're going to see how the refactor yesterday went and whether we actually managed to get to a point where things are nicely sorted out into separate crates. We also asked the AI to build out the first version of our networking, separating the networking from the actual connection from the actual client. This should allow us to take a client now and connect to a server and take another client and connect to a server, and hopefully they will be able to see each other. This would be the first step towards creating a more realistic version of the Oasis. And so if we've achieved this well, the next step would be to start integrating some blockchain stuff as well. And so the overall vision here is that we get the server up running, we get these players to connect, and they are connected to the blockchain. And once we have the blockchain aspect in there, we can start working on the incentives for why you would run a server in the first place, and also start talking about the structure around this. There are several different things we could try to do. So for instance, one very obvious one would be the in-game streaming that the Oasis has. So if you remember from the book itself, the Oasis allow you to do the Oasis allow you to do in-game streaming. And so if we could do that, say that you're streaming within the game, your camera to another one in the game, you basically have been building something similar to GatherTown now, where you can have people meet in this virtual world and have meetings. And the business model from a server perspective would be that you're doing something similar to WebRTC, but then with a Lightning protocol on top of it, such that every time you're exchanging a number of frames, the server gets paid a little bit for it. And this is pretty much what we'll try to play around with. But the first aspect before we even get to that would be to get some blockchain in there. The blockchain that we'll be using is Rialo. So this is a project that I'm helping building out, and which I'm really keen on, because it has some really cool functionality that allows you to call Web2 APIs. And with that, we would be able to do really advanced cool stuff. Like you could make sign in with Twitter, even though it's a decentralized network. You don't need any centralized components. And you'd be able to order pizza from within the Oasis, paying with Rialo coin, and then have that call a Web2 API that actually makes it the pizza is delivered to your door. How cool would that be? And we could build it all up with NCPs that are taking the order and then afterwards calling the API. So there are plenty of ideas to play around with here, many of them technically difficult and technically very interesting. And I'm sure we're going to learn a ton about how to use AI for bigger scale projects. So let's dive right into it. Our LLM, or our agent here, has managed to finish the work we did yesterday. So it has sorted things into separate crates. It's created the networking protocol, the world server, the game client. And so really, I think the first thing for us is just to test how well does this actually work. And if we just do cargo run --bin, we should be able to see we have two targets here. Let's do the server. We're going to start the server up. And this runs a server that now listens on 007777. Hopefully it will remember that itself. So we go here to the second screen and we do cargo run --bin. Let's see. This engine, that should probably be called Oasis client, but that's a minor thing. We start the client up. Let's see, just share that over here. So we have the client here. Let's maybe just do something like, just going to move a bit around because I want to connect another one and see that it actually connects. Maybe like this, so we have a nice view on what's going on. Then go back here, I'll jump to the other side and do cargo run --bin. Oasis engine. We need to start that one up again. Let's just see back here. Yeah, you know, see, you have another of these pill people, whatever we should call them. Let's just see. So let me drag this other window over here. Oh. Let's try some stuff here. So I think that is our other player that's right here. But let's try to move over here and just have a look what happens now when we run into this one. And see. Okay, this is super nice. So it actually works in multiplayer mode. We saw how everything was moving from in let me just move these ones around so we have the two clients. So we can actually move around here and controls are still a bit old. You see now the other players come over here. We definitely need to do some more on the graphics. This is not the kind of graphics where you're like, wow, this is an amazing game. But I honestly think that is not my biggest concern around all of this. Like, I think we have a lot of good stuff going here. So you have the physics, you have all of the really, nice things we can do. We can open doors, we can interact with things. And so a lot of the basics seems to already be covered quite well. Now, the question is, of course, how much, how hard it will be to get proper graphics in this. That's probably something we need to research at some point. But yeah. But I really love the fact there is a great physics engine here. And okay, so that seemed to work pretty well. I'm at least overall pretty happy. So let's shut down one of these things and then just do a ls here. And I think still have our experiments and all of that. Isn't it N or is it D? It's D or L. Okay. I clearly can't remember that. So okay, D, that's this directories only. Where do I set the depth? Is that capital D, capital? That's capital L. Okay, so that means we do D, L, 2. Let's just see. Okay, then we get the overall structure here. So you see the new structure here. We have the Oasis camera, the Oasis config, and all of the things we requested. And then the target folder. We have the server, then we have our experiments from earlier, the journalist, and then we have the Oasis engine, and we should also have an Oasis server somewhere, don't we? All right, that one is, that's a bit strange. Why would it put one in there and not the other one? I guess it just moved things out and then thought everything was okay. And then we have all our specs, which is great. And we have a few scripts. And yeah, all in all, that looks pretty much like what we asked for. Now let's go back here to this one and see. We refresh here. We have now performed 234 tasks. I think that's about 100 tasks more than we had done yesterday. So that's also a quite substantial amount. And we go to the product itself, we can see that the overall to-dos are increasing. We have a lot of things in this tree now. I actually haven't spent a lot of time optimizing the ACE framework for being able to manage large trees. So I wonder a bit when we will hit a performance wall, because at some point it's probably not going to perform. It was meant to be a proof of concept, and I think the concept clearly the concept clearly seems to work. Um, so I probably should get on with writing the real version of this relatively soon. But I guess for now we're just going to keep on pushing this, and maybe this weekend I will have some time to develop this. Okay, let's see. We are going to continue things here. So let's recap. We have a server. We have the possibility of connecting different people. We now want to be able to do financial transactions within this world. So I think the first thing we want to do is probably create a menu system that allows us to do various configuration. We probably also need a dedicated wallet thing, similar to what we have for the inventory, right? So in the inventory, you press tab, you get to see the inventory, and then what happens is that you can manipulate things from within there. I think we should have the same thing for how we manage our cryptocurrency. So basically, we should have a hotkey that opens up a wallet, and within that wallet, we should be able to see how many realo we have on in our wallet, and we should be able to send that to other people. I think that in itself would be a great goal to have. So if we could start setting it up such that we could perform these things, that would probably be the first step. Then the other thing that I was thinking of that would be great to have is this idea of live streaming, like, or basically communicating with each other. The reason why I think this could be fun to do is because, one, it basically has an immediate application. If you get that up running, you have a virtual meeting system, which may not be that useful at this point, but it would still be pretty good fun in that these virtual offices has actually been a thing over the past 5 years. And so what if we could take that and move that onto Realo? I think that could be really, really cool. And obviously, I think we need a little bit better graphics. And yeah, together with that, you would have an office where over time you'd be able to program the different objects you have in that office. And it would not be a centralized control. I think that whole idea is going to be pretty good fun. So, but I think it all starts with getting the wallet up running and getting the menus up running. If we can get that up running, let's define the things we need for that. And so let's just start and ask the agent to do some stuff now. Okay, so this is going to be super interesting because unlike Ethereum, Realo is not as known yet. And what that basically means is the LLM will not have as much information, so it will need to research this and actually understand how to use this. And I'm curious how well it will perform here, because just just giving it a random name is not always the best way of going about things. But we'll probably need to provide it with some more info. Main menu should be such that we can sub menus, screens, or purposes. That seems about right. Okay. That seems about it. I think this is what we're going to do. Okay, but by now you should be very used to these steps because we've done this basically 4 times now, at least. So we'll again get the LLM to interrogate us about what is it we're trying to do. We've given it some high level idea on what we want to do, but now comes the time where we really need to plan it. We need to work out what are the details of it, what are the acceptance criterias, and all of this. And yeah, you see it starts now and it records some responses from something it's found. I'm curious whether it's going to ask us anything at all or it's just going to make up the responses. Oh, so it probably were able to answer a lot of questions based on what we already wrote. I am a little bit wary of this. Let's see. We have 2 items in the backlog. We go here and we look at the to-do. There's a single to-do. Why are there no requirements? There should be. Oh, that was, let's see. Oh, the blockchain wallet was the one it did first. Okay, so there we go. User cases are starting to pop up now. And so let's see what they say. Okay. It actually has, I guess the point there is that a wallet is a pretty known concept, so it maybe didn't need to interrogate us, but still we have a record of all of the things that actually will be defined. So even though that is going a bit rogue here, we will have a pretty comprehensive record of what it's doing. And let me just check here. So you see, we have all of the requirements now. Oh, well, we don't have all of them, but we have some of them. Wallet UI, Realo connection, history, and then a whole bunch of tasks, a whole bunch of use cases. Players open wallet, and so the actor is the player. We have some preconditions. Okay, I feel really good about this. I might be overly optimistic here, but I think in the past few streams we've done, things has actually worked out really well. And I'm going to jinx it completely here because I'm saying this now. But I'm really hopeful that we'll be able to have wallet integration by Monday in such a way that we can send money from one player to another. And that just makes me think of one thing. It should remember we need to be able to invoke the airdrop functionality. So once it's done with creating all of these artifacts, we need to just add that as a use case, because I think that's one of the things it hasn't thought about. We now see we have 51 items planned in the backlog that needs to be done. Fairly small amount compared to the 437 we've already done, but still, it does a lot of stuff here. You see again, we get the test cases such that these are planned up front. We can go and look at the content of what is test cases supposed to do. How can we use the what are the things that should be tested, and if they can be automated, they should be automated. One of the things that I'm really dreaming of is to be able to make it so that the LLM can interact with the system itself and actually test it. Of course, ideally, it should always write automated tests so that we can get this completely automated as part of CI. But if that is not possible, the second best thing would be manual testing done in an automated fashion. That somehow did not make sense, and yet it did. But I think you get the gist of it. Okay, let's see what it writes here. Okay. Okay, I think this is going to be super important, because otherwise it will be very, very tedious to test this out when we get this functionality to land. Other than that, I think we've now planned things out pretty nicely, and we have 62 items in the backlog. There'll probably come more items as it starts executing some of the tasks, because some of the task is create design documents and whatnot. So if we look at, for instance, something like, no, it has already created some design documents. Oh, let's see. Yeah, okay. It actually created design documents and a whole bunch of other things. But even so, there are still create ADRs and create, well, it has also created all of that. So maybe it's done creating artifacts. I mean, that would be great. In that case, it's just ready to implement everything. And it's really just a matter of waiting for it to do that. And I mean, that's probably pretty good. I think at this point, we probably want it to research properly how Yellow works and how we can integrate this Rust. Curious, because again, this is most likely, well, no, it's not even most likely. This is not knowledge that the LLM has programmed into it. This is something that it would need to look up because it's so new. Is a Rialo SDK? That's funny. I don't think there is a Rialo SDK. I think it's called a CDK. Let me. But maybe, there is the possibility that I am uninformed. I do think that would be a bit surprising, but let's check Realo. Okay. Oh no, there is a SDK version 0.0.0. But really what it should find is the Realo CDK, which is the client development kit. Now it starts checking. Okay. CK, yeah. I can't. Okay, so that is quite useful to know. Right, so it finds the Realo SDK at version 0.0.0, which is exactly what we just found. But this is just a placeholder, and because of this, it believes that it can't do anything. Let's try to tell it that it needs to search for the Realo CDK. But you search for the Realo CDK crates.io. But that's not true. It's Christ, I need to do everything for this LLM. This is not the singularity I was hoping for. I feel like I'm being put to work here. I need to look up things and actually tell it things that it ought to be able to figure out by itself. Why does it get 4 on crates.io? Okay, so it actually found it. Oh wait, what is it deleting now? It always makes me nervous whenever LLM decides that they want to delete stuff. In particular, stuff that isn't checked in, which reminds me, we probably should do this before we do anything further, because I don't think I created a commit with the things that let's just, oh. Actually, this is a refactor. Dividing grades and creating networking. Okay. So it has all of that. Cool. Cool. So we want to make sure that it records all of these things, and in particular that it records Realo CDK, because it's not going to be able to remember that as the context grows and get compacted and all of these things. What will happen is it forgets that there's such a thing as the Realo CDK, and then it will start looking at the Realo SDK, and then eventually it will delete the code base and start rewriting everything in Node.js or whatever it does just to fulfill whatever requirements that I've come up with. for that reason, it's super important that we get all the right information recorded such that it knows where to find things when it starts working on the different tasks. And I see this is one of the places where I probably need to update the ACE framework slightly, because I notice it always deletes the artifact and then recreates it. And that seems suboptimal. Let's try to jump back over here and have a look. Still have plenty of things in that backlog, so it hasn't deleted everything. What is this? That doesn't seem to be related to this. Oh, that's because I told it that we need to be able to join a server. Oh, interesting. Yeah, this is one of the cases where the AI just hallucinates whatever it want to hallucinate from whatever I said, which is why it's so great we have these documents, because this is a lot easier to read than the code that it's going to write in just a bit. Like I have no problem with this. I think this is actually a great idea that things can be found with the discovery. What I do think is that it's a long stretch from what I said. All I said was you should be able to join the server, which, I mean, in simplest form should just be that you enter an IP address and a port, right? This is like going way deeper. But fine, if it wants to do extra work, let it do extra work. This is related to the settings. This is related to the wallet plugin. And we have a bunch of things here. And okay, it's written down here that it should use the Realo CDK version 1.1. See. I don't think it has a feature called request. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It actually might. Oh, there is a, yeah, okay. So basically there is a feature called request, but what it should have been doing is just using the RCP or RPC client. Because request is really more of a secondary feature flag than a primary one, but fine. Okay. So I think that ends it for the live stream today. I'm going to just get this started and to start implementing all of these things we have, and then hopefully on Monday we'll be able to get airdrops and be able to send money to people on the Realo network. Until then, have a great weekend and see you next week.